What do you see when you look in the mirror? A loser, a failure. Does every scar determine who you are? Maybe don't look, just turn away. If every day is like yesterday, when's it gonna change? What do you hear when you're all alone? In your head, stranded at sea on a stepping stone. There's a cloud inside you, it's welling up. Your eyes are holding back a flood. It's safe to come undone. You're not worthless, you're precious. You're not left out, you're wanted. You're not invisible with your shining soul. Love has spoken, you are chosen. You sat on the side and you tried to hide it. Silence, quiet. Deep in your heart there's a burning fire. Whoever told you that you're not strong, today's the day you're gonna prove them wrong and sing your victory song. You're not worthless, you're precious. You're not left out, you're wanted. You're not invisible with your shining soul. Love has spoken, you are chosen. You're fearless, courageous, in your weakness, he's strong. Hold on to faith, and you'll more than overcome. This is your identity, you're called to be, your loyalty, you're chosen. You are chosen. You're fearless, courageous, in your weakness, he's strong. Hold on to faith, and you'll more than overcome. This is who you're made to be. Come and see your destiny. You're chosen. You are chosen. You're not worthless. You're precious. You're not left out. You're wanted. You're irreplaceable with your shining soul. Love has spoken, you are chosen.
What is up, everyone? All right, here, let me get a couple things done here. Before I bring on who I've got in the background, a couple of the guests, I do want to put a couple things out here before we get started. Look, to all my wrenches, there is no talk of any of the other crap that's going on. We all know the Live Cowboy. None of that shit is going to be allowed in this chat tonight. This is strictly going to be about suicide, mental health, and questions. Why? What the hell is Nightbot fucking doing? Well, let me just fix this fucking shit right now. Nightbot, you're off tonight. Sorry about that, Salad. If you do bring up the other stuff, being rude or anything like that, my wrenches will time you out. If you continue to do that, you will be just removed from the chat. Any donations made, my PayPal account will be going through here. Donnie is going to be posting it. Anything that is raised tonight on the stream will go straight to suicide prevention in a donation. I will post everything on my Facebook page and to all the groups with the donation, the pictures and everything else, and exactly where it's being donated to. Now, with all that being said, tonight is going to be emotional. There is going to be something shown tonight that I've had hid for quite some time. The only two people that have seen it is my daughter Angel Girl and my son Kenny. So, with all that to be said, we're going to bring on a couple people.
What's up, Joe?
Hello, brother. Now, the other person is T-Cat. Right now, she's handling a couple things she needs to get handled. So, while we're getting started here, let's go ahead and hit chat. And look, Nightbot's off. Nobody's being timed out by Nightbot the rest of the fucking night. Stupid damn thing. Dustin Stewart, hello. Thomas Hall, hello. Salad, hello, brother. Donnie, love you, brother. Hitman, what's up? Kevin K, aloha, brother. Richard Yankee, hello. Deb22, hello, hon. Spike, what's up, brother? Now, one other thing. There's going to be some other people popping on, as long as they can make it. Miss U.S. Cheesecake, hello. Benelli, hello. If you have questions wanting to know about mental health or suicide, please put them in the chats. I will do my best, and so will everybody else on the panel, to answer the question to the best of their ability. Catherine Adams, hello. If you want to come on the show and talk about a past attempt at suicide or just, mental health, hit that. The link is in chat. It will be going throughout chat. So my wrenches, if you could please do copy the link for the stream and put that through chat too. Now, a little background. Everybody knows me. Everybody knows I've attempted suicide in the past. Matter of fact, I've tried twice. I've dealt with mental health issues, depression, anxiety, all my life. I've learned how to deal with some of it, and a lot of it's dealt with medication-wise, seeing a therapist. The big thing is, though, you don't just wake up one morning and say, I'm going to blow my brains out. You don't. Suicide is 9 times out of 10 because of mental disorders, mental problems. Something at that point makes you snap and you lose it. The first time for me was my dad wrecked. My dad drove truck. He's the reason that I drove truck, was in towing business for 25 years. He had an accident, which caused him not to be able to work again. My mom had asked me to take CPR. I told her I would, but instead I chose my drugs. I worked overnights while my mom was at home. My mom worked during the day, so I was home in case something happened with my dad. I never did take CPR. Still haven't to this day. I come home one morning, got off work, come home. I always had a cup of coffee with my mom, talked with her about stuff that was going on, told her I loved her before she'd go to work. I'd go to bed, she'd leave and go to work. And my mom was the type of person that if she was scheduled to be there at 6:00 at 5:30, she was in wherever she had to be. Whatever her job was, she was there at 5:30. Always. Never failed. My mom was up, dressed for work. We had our coffee. We had our cigarettes. We told each other we loved each other. I went to bed. About 45 minutes later, I got a call. My dad picked up at the same time. It was my mom's boss wanting to know where she was at or if she was sick because she wasn't at work. And I told him that I had, she was ready and I would go find out what's going on. Well, I walked out and my mom was laying on the couch, not breathing. The town we lived in, everybody knew everybody. So when the call went out, to 911, the volunteer fire department, most of the employees or most of the volunteers showed up at the house instead of going to the station. The first one on the scene was a cop. He started CPR. My mom was taken to a hospital with my dad and my brother in tow. I had my son. I had to get him up. I had shoved him off to a neighbor's house so he'd go to school. And I went to the hospital. When I got there, my mom was on life support. They said that if she even came out of it, she would be a vegetable. She had went that long without oxygen to the brain. Now, if you don't know, after 20 minutes of your brain not having oxygen, your body not having oxygen, your brain fails. People have lived past it, but have been vegetables. So while she lay there and was life support, I started calling family, getting family in. Getting them all there, getting my nephew to get leave from the military to get there. So basically everybody could say their goodbyes. On September 2nd, which royally sucks for my half brother because that's his birthday. I was tasked with the decision to pull the plug. My dad couldn't make the decision. My brother couldn't. It was left to me, and I pulled the plug. My mom lived for about 3 minutes and then was gone. I went into deep depression over it. I got heavier into my drugs. Um, I would have nightmares about that day finding my mom. 2 years after my mom died, I was sitting underneath a bridge in here in the town I live in Council Bluffs. I had done a whole bunch of drugs, done a bunch of meth, had gotten a bunch of Vicodin and Oxycontin, and had took them. My ex-girlfriend at the time was the one that found me, and they rushed me to the hospital. I laid in the hospital for 2 weeks. I don't remember the first week. I guess they pumped my stomach, um, and had me in the ICU. I got over it. I got released, of course. I had to see a therapist and stuff. I didn't give up on my drugs. I continued to do them. Um, Still blamed myself that if I would have took the CPR, that maybe my mom would still be here. She was my best friend. And to this day, I still get times where I blame myself. But life went on. My dad passed away. I continued. I did a lot of rotten shit to a lot of people. And then one day I was laying in my shop, taking a nap, waiting for my drugs to come back, waiting for my partner that I had with the shop to come back with the next, I don't know, 4 hours of fucking drugs. And I heard a voice say, "Get out." And it said it a couple times, and I left. As I was leaving, my partner was showing up, and I just told him, "Hey, I got to run down to town real quick, and I'll be back." And never went back. Was the best decision of my life. The same ex-girlfriend that found me under the bridge was the same one I went to that day. She worked at a gas station in town. I went there. I waited in her car for like 20, 30 minutes till she got off work. She drove me from my hometown over across the river to Council Bluffs, where I then went and saw some family members, went to a homeless shelter, eventually ending up with my aunt and uncle. They got me back into church. I started feeling better. Met my wife about a year and a half later. Still clean. Been married 9 years. Just celebrated 9 years. Got 10 and a half, 11 years clean off of drugs and 13 off of alcohol, but still got the depression, still dealing with that. And it's a daily thing. And honestly, I try to surround myself with people that don't bring toxic shit into my life. Now, when I say that, everybody's going to say, yeah, fuck that. Because I do so much toxic shit on YouTube. I'm talking my realistic life, not YouTube. Not that, I don't have great friends like T-Cat, Roberto, Truckin', Kelly Kell, Monster Man, Dallas. The list goes on. But I have, I look at what I have now instead of what I could have. And it makes me happy. It also makes me happy if this fucking mod would work. But before I get into the second round, I want to pause and kind of get. I'm gonna put you on the spot, T. I want to kind of hear from you because mental health is not just U.S. It's worldwide.
Yeah.
And I do know that you have dealt with a lot of stuff mental health wise.
So I'm diagnosed with high anxiety, ADHD, obviously, which also can affect your emotions up and down. Anxiety is a fight or flight. Like even right now I have anxiety. Hence why right now I have my necklace that uses,
Hold on, T. I do want to pause real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer, if you would like, I would love to hear your story. We've got all night. Look, I'm not going nowhere. I know that T has got about an hour. Roberto's got about an hour before they got to get out of here. And Grimace, brother, if you're up to it, I'd love to hear your story and stuff. And brother, my heart to you. I'm glad that you didn't do it 26 days ago.
I am too.
Sorry, T.
That's okay.
I saw that one and did.
I also have minor PTSD and slight depression. At least recently, it's been more slight depression than anything. I've just been trying to keep myself occupied through all the stuff that's been going on. For anybody that actually knows what's been going on at this specific moment, I haven't been able to see my fiance since February. And I've been fighting just to get him up here. And it just seems like one thing after another, lost my job, it just keeps getting hit in the face. Right now I'm dealing with immigration to see if he can get up here and get approved. And that's probably going to take up to 14 days, which means I might not even see him in December. And if we don't get the approval in November, then I might not be able to see him until next year. So it's definitely not an easy thing for me, especially because I've been going through a lot of emotionals up and downs. That's why Dysfunctional Family will have one show one week and then next week there's none. And then there's even like my shows that I'm going to be doing tonight, my gaming show. Even that has been up and down. But yeah, how I was diagnosed with my anxiety and with my depression and my PTSD was due to abuse. When I had my first son, he was taken. So that already brought up my anxiety because being a new mom and having your son taken from you, it's not exactly an easy thing. And I was drinking extremely heavily just to kind of null it out. And then something in my brain just told me, hey, stop it. You're not going to get your son back by doing this. My ex, he was very mentally abusive, and he had everybody that was around my neighborhood thinking that I was this crazy person, that I was, the list just goes on. And I was just so isolated that I started cutting myself because I was screaming for help and I needed something to kind of keep me in reality. And so that's why I have all my scars on my wrist, on my arm. There was a couple of times where I did do it on this side because I just couldn't handle it. But if I didn't have my dog, I probably would have succeeded. My dog was my biggest support out of it all. And then when I finally got out of it, I had to go through a lot of therapy. I couldn't take medication because that's how we found out that I have adverse effects with medication. So I had to learn how to do things on a holistic way. So doing meditation, doing exercising, eating healthy, taking proper vitamins, talking to people. And even still to this day, I still have my moments where I'll flip out on Salad about everything because he would have certain habits that would have brought me back to that past. And he snaps me out of it pretty quick because he's like, oh, you're having a moment. I'm going to help you with that. But when it came to being in that kind of environment, I always try to, you can kind of say it's kind of like my barrier where I still try and see reasons on not to go on at certain points or try to hold myself back a lot more. So.
And that's a thing. That's, I had a question posed to me when I first talked about doing this stream. What makes somebody think that suicide is the best option? Honestly, there is no reason that suicide is the best option. But in somebody, in your mind, when that's going through your mind, it's not that, it's not planned out. It's not like you've sat and thought about it for days on days and stuff. It pops in and you act on it. And sometimes, like with me, it was calling somebody and then finding me. That was my mind saying, wait, this ain't what we're going to do. You do this. Even though you had already went through with, like me taking the pills, doing all the drugs.
Mm-hmm.
There was still that little thing in the back of your head saying, no, we need to do this and get you to do it.
Yeah.
But when you're in a depressive state, and the depression is one of the biggest causes of suicide.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in that state constantly, you don't see any other way out.
Yep.
Whether it be that you're in physical pain all the time, you're in a mental pain. Look, a bad relationship, either physically or mentally, can be a cursor for suicide.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely, there's a lot of times where, because everybody knows that my sons aren't with me due to this situation. And when everything was all dealt and done with the courts, I made sure that my sons were safe. It was all about protecting them. And then when everything was just kind of at that clear moment, It was just, I had a moment of clarity that everybody's going to be safe, but I wasn't in the right mind state. I should have gotten help immediately, but I didn't. It wasn't until my dog literally jumped on me with me holding my razor. You don't think of all the stuff that's on the outside. You just think mostly of what's on the inside, of what you're feeling and how you're feeling. At that moment of time, from when I did try, I just kept saying to myself that everyone's going to be fine without me.
And that's the other thing. You don't, when you're in that state of mind, you don't see that the pain that you're feeling, your loved ones are feeling the same. No big secret. My drug history, I always thought I was hiding it. I always thought I was hiding the depression. When I said that my mom was my best friend, she knew that I did drugs. She knew that I had depression. She was the biggest one telling me, trying to push me to get all the help that I needed. But I didn't realize it until I got clean of all the damage that I've done. My son will be the first one to tell you. I signed parental rights away, to get him some help, and then chose my drugs over than parental rights. And that's caused pain in his life. My daughter has watched me go through hell, and it causes pain in her life. As much as I hate to fucking admit this, trucking is one of the biggest people that keep me kind of grounded at times, because we all know that I'm a stubborn son of a bitch, and I need that person that's just as stubborn as I am to sit there and basically tell me, you're fucking up. You need to stop this. And you don't realize who all you're hurting.
You just think everybody's going to be perfectly fine without you.
Yeah. You think you're doing the best for everybody around you. When honestly you're not.
That's why to this day I spoil my dog. he fights off spiders for me. He kills everything, and still to this day he knows my emotions. Like when I start getting highly elevated, he'll be downstairs and I'll get highly elevated emotions, and he'll just try and get through that entire cage just to get upstairs to be with me. And so hearing the sound, I go downstairs and he's just trying to get through. I open up the door and he just jumps on me and holds my arms down. It's just something that he's done since day one, since he was a puppy.
And it's funny that animals can do that for somebody.
Right.
That there's a lot of people that have dogs, cats, lizards, iguanas, all kinds of animals that
I don't know about Moby. She tried to bite my hand the other day.
So let's go, Roberto. What's been up with you, brother?
Oh, not much. I was watching your intro. That's a nice song, but one thing I noticed too is your slide about law enforcement officers and how more of them die by suicide than they do in the line of duty. And that's true. And it's not that the police departments don't give them any help. They do have counselors and everything on there to help officers when they have feelings and emotions. But the problem is a lot of them don't take advantage of it, because the minute you go to them, tell them you're depressed, you're suicidal, they take you off watch. Then you have to go get a psychiatric evaluation, unpaid, and then you come back. So a lot of them, definitely, in my experience, being a former law enforcement officer, a lot of them do hold all that shit in until, unfortunately, it gets to be too late.
And see, that's the thing. It's not just law enforcement. I mean, it's firefighters, emergency personnel, doctors, nurses, hell, even tow truck, the towing industry. When you deal with destruction every day, loss of life, that tends to get to you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that it, like me, a tow operator, that crash scenes would get to me, because usually by the time we're there, the victims are all gone.
Right. And sometimes they're not.
Yeah, sometimes they're not. So there's been times that I've been out on a call and I pull up on the scene, and I have to sit there and wait because they're still trying to extract a body. I've seen people get decapitated and lose fingers and toes. I've had cars that I would take back to my lot, and cops would show up, and because they were missing a finger or toe, and have to go through the car to try to find this stuff. And it's just so much stuff out there that you would think that the mental health would be one of the biggest, things that, that would be the number one priority for the government, to make sure that the mental health side of it is above standards. But unfortunately, it's not. I mean, we look at it every day with homeless vets, military, the VA being such a shithole to try to get help with. We lose so many veterans to suicide.
Yeah, we do.
And it's not that, some of it is that, people are not trying to take advantage of the health issues. A lot of it is the fact that it's just not fair, because they make it more about the money than making it for the person. Now, one thing that I do that is pretty much clear throughout, as far as I know, the world, especially here in the U.S., and I've been told in Canada, that when somebody calls and reports, does like a health check, a welfare check on a person that has said that they're going to commit suicide, they're going to harm themselves. 9 times out of 10, they're taken into a hospital and put on a psychiatric hold.
Right.
I have never heard of somebody going and the cops showing up, EMT showing up, and you saying, yeah, I'm going to shoot myself. And you tell the doctors at the emergency room the same thing. I have never heard of anybody not being stuck on that 72-hour hold doing that.
Right.
Now, there is a self-committal thing that people can do, which, look, if it's that bad and you do take the initiative to go to the hospital and have yourself checked in, I applaud you. But most of the time, you're not going to do that.
Right.
Most of the time, it's somebody seeing something, knowing how you act, knowing, something's not right, or being worried and acting on the fact that they're being worried. Whether it's, you haven't talked to your neighbor in 3 days or seen them and you're talking to them every day, it's different. So you check on them. Or, family members or friends. You see something, you act on it. And a lot of times, many people don't do that anymore.
And me, myself, I was fortunate because me and my ex-wife, we worked for the same department. And so we were kind of there for each other. We were each other's rock to lean on. We could talk to one another. We could tell them about our day. We could talk about our case loads, everything else. But a lot of officers, they don't have that. And a lot of officers, they look at it as though, hey, this is a sign of weakness. I can't show any sign of weakness. And,
Yeah, and that's not just. Let's be honest. It's not just officers that think that.
Mm-hmm.
And
now
it's
my breaking point was when my stepdaughter died, because a lot of people that know me know that me and my stepdaughter, we were very, very close. Okay, I was basically with her when she came out of the womb. I mean, that's the way people talk. All right, I was there with my ex when she had her, and really that was one of the things that, it really hurt me, like physically, mentally, to where I didn't feel like I had anybody to talk to. So, yeah, I did attempt to take my own life right after she died. When she passed away in 2011, she died in a car accident. And luckily, I'm still here. Once again, I had her mom, my ex. I've told everybody, my ex-wife is my best friend. We weren't good married. We're good as friends. T-Cat knows that. And, I was able to go to her. We were able to talk our way through it. And, I did go see a psychiatrist for it and everything. But I was a mess for about a year. I really was, because it was very emotional. As a parent, you never want to bury your kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know what I would do if I had to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I had to bury both my mom and my dad. Now, listen, I'll be the first one to tell you, my dad was an asshole, and me and him had a love-hate relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It hurt me when he passed, but nowhere near what it did when my mom did.
Yeah. And that's the thing, when they brought her to the funeral home, and Barbara Cook was the director of the funeral home. I've known her for years. And I went in there and I was like, yeah, I want to see the body. And she's like, no, you don't. I was like, yeah, I do. And she kept trying to tell me, no, you don't. And no, I didn't. She finally let me go back there, and I looked, and I completely broke down.
That's one of the hardest things, or that's one of the things that I avoid.
Mm-hmm.
I do, unless it's like when my aunt passed away. I did go to her funeral. I went to my mom and my dad's. But if it's a friend or something, I most of the time refuse to go to the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
For the simple fact, I don't want to see him that way.
No.
I want to know. I want to see him the way that they were when they were alive.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I'm a cowboy. He put, it's a stigma with mental health. If you get help, you're weak. When you're not weak, please get the help.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes with everybody, men, women, children. I mean, there are more and more children dealing with mental health issues every day.
My daughter is diagnosed with high anxiety and ADHD.
And
my youngest son has ADHD. That's one of those things that
my son has ADHD and PTSD.
Yeah.
Along with depression, anger, all the shit that I've dealt with.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wendy here. Wendy just put hello, everyone. Joe, are you going to discuss the issue with medications? How several medications actually contribute to suicidal ideology follow through. That's an issue, especially with men. Look, it is.
It is, yeah.
And it's not, medicine is sometimes the worst thing that you can do.
Mhm.
A lot of times with medicine, the reaction or the side effects
Mhm.
are actually worse than what you're taking the medication for. Um, look, something as simple as Chantix to quit smoking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I took Chantix.
That made people have have suicidal tendencies or brought
Hi,
that
Wendy.
out of their system, and people were actually committing suicide because of a medication.
Hmm.
That's why it's always so important that you know what medications you're taking and research them. I mean, look,
Mhm.
I will look up side effects on every damn medication I have.
Mhm.
And that way I know what to watch for if I'm taking a medication, especially when it comes to the meds that they give you for pain and mental health, for depression.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because, with a drug addict. Now,
Mhm.
the one thing that I can say is honestly truth with me is I never really had a problem with pills.
Mhm.
I was with meth and the hard drug, cocaine and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Even now, my psychiatrist, she is the type of doctor of psychiatrist that if she takes you off of medicine, she wants to wean you off. I'm not that type of person.
Mhm.
When I quit the drugs, when I quit the alcohol, when I quit pills, I have never ever had a DT.
Mhm.
I've never went through a detox. Never had the everything that comes with detoxing. Never had that.
Mhm.
I am a person that can quit taking a pill cold turkey and not look back and not have any repercussions from it.
Right.
But with that, I'm mostly the type of person that most medications don't work on.
Hmm.
Like my pain meds. I have went through everything but Suboxone.
Mhm.
The only reason I haven't tried that for pain is because they say that it could give you cause a heart attack. When my pain doctor told me 3 years ago that that was the last step and that pill could cause me to have a heart attack, I looked at my wife and said, well, guess I'm dealing with the pain. And I walked out the office. Never went and saw that doctor again.
Mhm.
Um, that's why whenever I go into it's screwed up because if I go into a hospital, if I go into an emergency room, nurses are trained and so are doctors to look for people just trying to get the pain meds, trying to get Oxycontin, trying to get hydrocodones, Vicodin, getting the strong medications. I am I am completely honest with them. I have a drug history. I have an alcohol history. I can literally tell them that Oxycontins, hydrocodones, Vicodins, all that shit don't work on me.
Mhm.
There is one med that does take away the pain, but in Iowa and Nebraska, the only way you can get that is through a hospital and have a
Mhm.
shot. I always murder the fucking word for it, so I'm not even going to try it. If my daughter was here, she could tell you what it is. But when I tell them that that's the only med that I can take that will help with whatever it is, I get real bad migraines and shit. they look at me like, okay, no, you're just here for this, for this pain med. When it's not that, look, I'm being honest with you. This is what works, and I don't want the other shit. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. If you tell a doctor, what works and what don't, they know what to prescribe you and stuff. But a lot of them, especially if it's just an ER doctor or something like that, that does not deal with you on a regular basis like a family doctor does, or a pain doctor, then, that's the other side of that sword, because then they just think that you're there for a med, and
you're taking advantage of the system. Is what
you're
think.
just an addict trying to get a fix a lot of times. And that's where I'm different. I will always, I tell my doctor, even my family doctor, I tell them what's working, what's not. I tell my therapist whether the pills that she's got me on work or not. And I think that that's how you got to be, because if you don't tell them what's working and what's not working, then they can't try to get you on a med that actually works. But you also have to have that knowledge of knowing what side effects are, what pills can cause what, and what to look for. So it basically comes down to awareness. If you're not, if people around you are not aware and have the fortitude to tell you, hey, this is what we're seeing, then most of the time you're not going to see that shit. Especially when you're in depression and shit. You don't see none of that. You just see that you're in pain, or you're, looking at the dark side of shit. And the problem with a lot of the problem with the meds and men is that macho syndrome.
Yeah.
Not wanting people to know that you're hurting, or what's going on.
Right. The one thing that also is the stigma behind suicide is that when somebody commits suicide, a lot of people are like, oh, they were weak, they were selfish. That's not the case at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not being selfish, they're in pain, and they feel like this is the only thing that they can do to take the pain away.
Yep.
And let's be honest, for some people, that's what you gotta, you gotta tell them, hey, you're being selfish. This ain't the fucking way to do it. I did the pictures in the intro for a reason. There are so many different things that a person can do to commit suicide, and nobody would ever know. Whether they're hanging from a noose in their house, if they're not, if they aren't real sociable or don't have family around them all the time, they could hang there for freaking weeks and nobody knows.
You had a couple of YouTubers that committed suicide. That I forget the one kid that did it, but didn't he throw himself in front of a train or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
My grandson, matter of fact, I had to have a talk with my grandson. I want to say about 6 months ago, that there was a YouTuber that he watched all the time that had committed suicide. And, my grandson, sorry, my grandson, you know, he has ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, he has bouts with depression at times.
Mhm.
But when something's bothering him, you know, he knows that he can always come to me, his grandmother, his mom, you know, and a lot of times he'll come and talk to me about stuff that's going on and wanting to know, you know, have questions about it. And I think what a big thing is I don't candy coat it. You know, I talk to him. If it's something that, you know, it's a question I don't know, I sit down and we look it up, and we figure it out together. And, you know, but just him knowing that, you know, look, I've got somebody there I can talk to is enough most of the time.
Yeah. Same thing with my daughter. Sometimes she gets very, very massive low moments. And it's pretty scary when she starts talking. I mean, she's almost 9 years old. She's 9 this Tuesday coming up. And the way that she talks, it's very scary. So I know when she's a teenager, she's going to have moments where she's going to try.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually people that have already preconditioned disabilities.
Right.
But
And that's the thing. I mean, it's just, you've got to be so aware to the shit. You know, you've
Mhm.
got to. So many people try to hide it and not show it or not talk about it. That they've got to realize that it's not. It don't hurt to talk about it. To ask questions, but you got the other side where, you know, somebody gets offended because you have an opinion and you state something and they get mad.
Right.
You know, it's kind of a fine line right there on what you do and how you handle things.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Hobag?
I gotta get going.
All right, T.
All right.
We'll talk
Bye.
to you later, hon. Have a good night.
I shall.
Don't get too drunk, okay?
I won't. Don't worry.
See you later, T-Cat.
I don't know. I'm. It's a much needed. Anyways, bye guys.
Bye.
So, all right. Let's go ahead and we're going to get into, because I know that there's one person that I know has been that wants to, that's been a real big push behind me putting out this video. So let me tell you, my second attempt at suicide was because of a lot of things. I deal with, and everybody knows this, I deal with a lot of fucking pain every day. Whether it's my back, the fact that I can, you know, not feel my legs or my feet unless it's really like, you know, I'm 400 fucking pounds. If I step on a rock, I feel the deep tissue pain. Most of the time, my feet, if you've ever had your feet falling asleep and you get that like 1,000 needles poking you,
Mm-hmm.
That's what my feet feel like every day, all day long, never stops. My legs do the same thing. They give out. I deal with fucking uh, torrential migraines that
Mm-hmm.
out for days at a time. So I'm not always I'm not so easy to deal with at times. My daughter will be the first one to tell you I not easy to deal with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
My son will, my wife, and with that being said, it creates problems. It creates fights, and puts pressure on my marriage, puts pressure on my children, um, to the point that my children have come to me and say, look, you need to change this because I can't handle this no more. I can't handle, getting a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning because you took two of your fucking Ambien and you're on a damn computer being stupid, or, in fucking Zoom room being stupid and just not being yourself, or
Mm-hmm.
screaming and yelling and not knowing where the hell I'm at. Fucking hell, I fell, woke up on my steps. My daughters found me laying on the fucking floors. Um, my son don't deal with too much of that because he don't live here with me. My daughter, Angel Girl, does, so she gets the brunt of a lot of the stuff.
Right.
I love her to fucking death, and my wife takes a brunt of the shit. And with me saying this, even though I say that you need to you need to talk about this stuff, I don't like talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I usually let this shit build up until I blow up.
Right.
Um, I do try to work. I have been working on it more. Been opening up more with my wife. Um, my wife, my daughter, my son. I went to the hospital with a blood clot in my leg.
Mm-hmm.
I think it turned purple. Nobody had known that I had quit taking all my meds. I wasn't taking. I Look, guys. I take fucking. I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but them motherfuckers are full. I take 20 different fucking meds morning and night. Um, I had stopped taking all them.
Right.
Up with the blood clot in my leg, and I get the same thing from the doctors all the time. You're overweight. You need to exercise. Well, I blew up at a doctor that told me that, and my wife found out that I wasn't taking my meds when I did that, because I can't go out and walk. I can't get on a fucking stationary bike or a treadmill or anything like that, because now on top of everything, I have blood clots, so I'm on blood thinners. So if I fall and hit my head, I gotta go to the hospital no matter what. My grandson is even to the point now where if I fall, he's like, first question, Grandpa, did you hit your head? But with all that stuff going on, I let shit build up.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a Zoom room. It's no secret. I was in Josh's Zoom room. Kelly Kell was in there. Josh was in there. Some other people were in there. I had left to go to bed that night. And that is as far as I remember. I remember getting out of Zoom. I remember laying down. I do not remember texting Kelly Kell or messaging her through Messenger. I do not remember making this video that I'm going to show. I don't remember it. And I'm going to be honest with you. This will be the first time that I will hopefully make it through this video. Now, my daughter and my son have both seen this video. They have both went through the whole thing. My daughter was here the night I did this. Matter of fact, Kelly Kell had tried to call my daughter, but her phone was on Do Not Disturb. So Kelly Kell, she got the message and something told her I'm going to put this up, and there's something that I haven't fucking done that should be running. Motherfucker, why haven't I done this? Because I got into this. Something had told Kelly Kell to look at her phone. She was out of Zoom. She was laying down. She looked at her phone, and, she tried calling my daughter. Then she popped in fucking Zoom, and there I was taking handfuls of pills. Now, the pills that I was taking were Tylenol with codeine.
Mm-hmm.
They were Tylenol 4s. They were a prescription. Now, nobody knew what I was taking. They just saw me taking handfuls of fucking pills. Take them because I was tired of being in pain. So that's what I said. Because remember, everybody, I don't remember any of this. I'm going off of what's been told to me from Josh, from Kelly Kell, from other people that were in that room that night. Josh started making phone calls. The man that is the giant fucking asshole to everybody started making phone calls and didn't stop until he got a hold of the police department, fire department here in my town, and had them sent to my house. I don't know if it was my grandson or my wife or my daughter. One of them answered the door because, cops were pounding on the fucking door. It was, I want to say 3:30 in the fucking morning.
Mm-hmm.
They hollered for me. I come upstairs. The cops and the fire personnel both told the hospital, told the doctors that I said I was taking the pills.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they took me in. I went into the hospital. I was in the emergency room, what seemed to be all fucking day. I do remember being in the emergency room. I remember my daughter being there. I guess I told the ER doctor that the pills that I took. Now understand, everybody, I take Ambien. I take narcotics. The only thing that the Tylenols were going to fuck up was my stomach. And, fuck up my kidneys and shit like that. Even at the amount that I took, that's all that would have happened. But nobody knew, nobody knew what I was taking. But because of Kelly talking with Josh and Josh making the phone calls and everything that went on, I got put in on a 3-day hold. And during that time, while I was in there, Josh went live. Josh talked about what went on. While I was in there, I was talking with my wife and my daughter every day. I was talking with the doctors. I had a psychiatrist to go see, had an appointment, everything before I got out of there. I went through a couple psychiatrists since then until I found the one that I'm with now that I feel comfortable with. But when I got out, Kelly messaged me and she's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you." Because my daughter had told Kelly and told Josh that I was getting out. So when they come and picked me up, I was told that I needed to get a hold of Kelly Kell. Kelly Kell told me that Josh had went live and that I needed to, before I did anything, Zoom wise or anything like that, I needed to sit down and watch that live stream. And she's like, "Joe, I hope that you look at it the way that, I should be, which is that help side of it." I've had a lot of people tell me that I should have been pissed off like no other at Josh for doing that live. Because, look, Josh being Josh, he said in it live that I was fucking stupid and that was the dumbest fucking thing I could have ever fucking done. And that it shouldn't have fucking happened. I shouldn't have been that fucking weak to do it. Look, I'm a stubborn motherfucker. That's what I needed to hear. And people don't understand. Kelly Kell did. Josh does. A lot of other people do too. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Benelli's thing off the picture, off the show here. And I'm going to mute our mics. And we're going to watch this video. I first, before I do it, Josh, you're still in here, right? I want to make sure Josh is in here because he's been one pushing me to do this. So that he was, not pushing me, but hoping that, he would be able to see and hear it. So well, here it is. Here is the thing that I have been regretting to regretting to say, regretting to do. Just straight up regretting. Eight years ago, I met what I thought was the love of my life. We got married. We joined our families. I was always raised that if I get with somebody that already has kids, that you treat them kids like you would treat your own kids. And I have for the last 8 years. I love my kids. I love my stepdaughters. I love my grandchildren. But how much love can one person put into a relationship when the other person is not putting in the same amount of love? How much faith can anybody put into a relationship where it's not equal on both sides? How much shit can one person take? I am 411 pounds. I'm fat and a piece of shit, according to my wife. My children, on the other hand, don't think that. Or at least two of them don't think that. At least one of my grandchildren don't think that. Which is why it makes it even harder to do this. Nicole, I love you. Kenny, I love you. Cody, I love you. Adeline, I love you. Tammy, Wade, Bryn, Sean, I love you guys too. But I can't do this no more. I can't keep going on being treated like shit. I can't keep going on hiding how I feel. I'm not happy. I'm very depressed. And I just can't do it no more. I really, really can't do it no more. I support my wife on everything that she does, and she can't support me on anything. My daughter supports me. She supports me vaping. She supports me being online and being around friends. My grandson supports me. My son supports me. But see, in a marriage, it's supposed to be an equal street. You treat everyone as equals, no matter if they're not. You give them the same love and attention that you would give your own children. For the last 2 years, I have felt like a stranger in my own home. I have felt like not even going on. I have felt that no matter what I say, what I do, nothing's ever good enough. The only reason I've kept with my meds is because I promised my son and my daughter that I would keep taking them. Even though deep down, I just want to die. I just want to end it. I want to take all my pills and just go to sleep and not wake up again. I waited 35 years to find what I thought was the right person to marry. Marry him, and then 8 years find out. 8 years later, find out that they're not ever going to be what I thought they were. I don't know if this video will ever make it or ever be put up. But But I'm telling you right now, if it does get put up and I'm gone, my daughter can have all the computer stuff. My son can have all my tools. Because I know damn well his stepmother ain't going to give him shit. I've made a lot of friends in this community. A lot. I have a lot of friends that I consider family. But I also know that I will truly never be happy. To my friends in this community, Trucking, Kelly, Matt, the ones I talk to on a daily basis. Thank you for making me smile. Thank you for making me feel like I fit in. Thank you for being you. My grandchildren, I love you all. Cody, Wade, Bryn, Adeline. Always remember that Grandpa truly, truly did love you. To my kids, Kenny, Nikki, Tammy, whether you were my blood kids or my stepkids, I loved you equally. I loved you as you were all my own. And that love will never go away, ever. Stay beautiful. Stay happy. Okay.
Uh, mhm.
Sorry, guys. It's
That's
first
very
time.
deep. I can see why you only watched it, made it through one time.
This is the only time I made it. I I didn't find that video until 3 days until I got out of the lockup. And God's honest truth, I didn't even watch it. I just
Mm-hmm.
it was in my editor. I downloaded it to YouTube, and that's where it's been. It's been private.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, look, me and my wife still have our problems. We're not perfect,
Right.
but you know,
Mm-hmm.
work on it every day, and it's no secret that my wife and my son do not get along.
Right.
But when my son needed the help, my wife was there to step up.
Mm-hmm.
When he needed a place to stay for a little while, she was there. We talk more now than we have ever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, between my daughter Nicole and my son Kenny and my wife, nothing gets past them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now, while that video was playing, I got a message. Want to know if I would tell a story, but I'm not going to.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna come on and he's gonna tell it himself. Some of you will know who this is. For others that don't, it's my son.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was backstage, little pucker. He's gonna be doing it off his phone. But if if you think it's fucked up that one person in your family deals with the shit and tries to commit suicide, it's really fucked up when you're a parent and your child tries it.
Mm-hmm.
So my son's going to come on here. He's going to talk. I'm going to take a little bit of time and shut my camera and mic off.
Okay.
Maybe.
Thomas Hall, how you doing, buddy? Tell like this bad mother trucker. What's up, Caleb?
And look, Benelli, well, there goes my son.
Yeah.
I wrestled with this, and you can ask Roberto because I was telling him before the show that this is a show that I've looked forward to but haven't.
Yeah.
And this is why, all shit aside, when I say that it's near and dear, this is why. That's why I have said it before, and look, I'm going to say it again. I don't care who you are. I don't care if it's Cowboy, Liv, anybody. If anybody calls me or messages me saying that they're going to commit suicide, I'm going to do everything I can to stop it. Whether I hate you, like you, love you, I'm going to do what I can.
Yeah. I don't care how much we don't get along. I do not want to see anyone dead or commit suicide because they feel like they're alone.
Well, hopefully my son can figure out a place in his house that he can get some good fucking connection, damn it. But this is also why I wanted to do this stream.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I've said it, it's been going through all night long. And I have it in every one of my videos, whether it's my review videos, whether it's my live videos. It's going across the screen here. The Suicide Prevention Hotline.
Mm-hmm.
That's mostly why I have had it going through that any donations made tonight or the rest of this month to my PayPal will go to suicide prevention. Period. There's also, when I posted this show on to all the groups on my Facebook page, there's also a donate button there.
So like it is, he just posted the he posted the StreamYard link in chat.
Yes, I don't look. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your story is. If you want to come on and talk about it, you're more than welcome to.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to try to get my son in here again, see if he can do it this time without going away, the little fucker.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Dad. I was having a hard time with my connection, so
All right. Well, I'm going to take a little bit of time. I'm going to mute out and shut my camera off. Floor's yours, son.
So I've been struggling with PTSD and major depression. I have tried to commit suicide 4 times. The first time was when I found out that my grandma and my grandpa had died. I was beating my head against the wall and telling my dad and everybody that I wanted to go and see them. That led into him putting me in Children's Square because he didn't know how to help me with that at the point in time. The second time I was having a rough patch with my mom and was fighting and arguing with my dad. I had lost contact with my grandma that's still alive. So I had taken a full bottle of pills that I had gotten given to me from a friend. And my soon-to-be wife now ended up rushing me to the hospital. They had to pump my stomach out. The third time, I had went and seen my grandma and grandpa's grave for, I don't know, the second time. And it was on Memorial Day. And I was driving home and I had swerved and I had tried to go head on with a semi because my grandma and grandpa, well, my dad's mom and dad were the main people in my life that took care of me as I was a kid. So it really hurt me and sent me into a really bad depression when they had died. And I mean, even now it still gets to me.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth time, me and my fiance ended up getting into an argument. I had went to jail for a domestic and a child endangerment and had a restraining order put on her and my daughter. I was drinking from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. When I got out and I was staying at my grandma's, I was drunk and I ended up loading my uncle's 45 and pointing it to my head. And I was really, really, really close on pulling the trigger because I thought that I wasn't ever going to be able to see my daughter again. And my daughter and my fiance are one of the 2 most important people in my life right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it hurt me when a lot of people kept saying that I had sexually molested my daughter and that I had hit my daughter and that I was trying to kill her. And it sent me into a really bad depression when I found out that I had the chance of going away for 6 years because of something that I did.
Right.
And so I wanted to end it all right there. And my dad was the first one that I started talking to about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, people. I didn't know about a lot of them times. But I tell you guys the same thing I tell him. And he can attest to this. I don't care what time of day it is. I will answer my phone. I will talk to you back. There's a lot of times that I talk with my son and he don't like what the fuck I have to say.
I think that's with any son and father. My sons don't like it, half the things I have to say either.
But I do want to take 1 second and I want to show this. Everybody sees it in the background all the time. This right here means the world to me. For those of you who don't know, Deb22, her wife Val, made this. And Deb sent it to me. It is a suicide ribbon. It will forever hang in the background of all my shows, anywhere I'm at. It will always be there. Now, I'm going to bring somebody else on. And look, I'm going to remind everybody once again what this show is about. This is not about drama. This is not about any bullshit. This is about mental health and suicide and people's testimonies and people's stories. There's another person that is asked to come on that wants to talk. So no matter what you think of this person, you're going to get the time like anybody else. I haven't talked to this person in a while. There was a falling out, but you know what? I'm glad she's here. What's up, stranger?
What's
Hello.
up, Randy? How you doing, hon?
How you doing now?
Yeah, I just talked to Brandy the other night.
We
Yeah,
haven't
I
talked in
read
a
your
while.
comments in chat. I didn't want to say who it was because I didn't want to just blurt out their name or anything.
Oh, I know who it was.
Yeah.
But welcome, hun.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Back in 2002, I was diagnosed with severe post-traumatic stress disorder, and when I was in the Air Force, because I was raped not once but twice in the Air Force, and so they gave me an honorable discharge, and I was diagnosed with severe post-traumatic stress disorder, and at first I was in denial and stuff like that, but then I started identifying stuff that, kind of does line up with stuff, nightmares and stuff like that. And he was like, well, since you had it as a child, we're still going to give you compensation or whatever for it. And, being brought up in foster care, me and my twin sister and other siblings, I'm a child of 9. And some of the PTSD was brought on by narcissism, like narcissistic siblings and foster parents and foster siblings and stuff, I feel. And then later on in life, when the situation with me not having my kids, it was later diagnosed that I have borderline personality disorder, which is like fear of being alone and a fear of abandonment and stuff like that. And then major depressive disorder. And recently, like schizophrenia runs heavily in my family. And recently, back in September, there was a situation. It's healing now, but wait, where's the camera? I did this. cut myself and bang my head up against the wall because a dear friend of mine that I was going to a mental health recovery group found out she died and nobody told me. And, I knew her for years when I first got in that program, and then found out my twin sister, like she's paranoid schizophrenic, but found out she's been slandering my name on the internet. And I was like, where's all this stuff coming from? And that's a longer story in itself. But the part that cuts me is her saying that, that I neglected my children, and saying that I put a gun to my daughter's head and made my daughter do oral on me when she was a baby, and that I made my other kid made them all eat feces when she wasn't even in their life for the majority of their life. So, but I do want to say about mental health. Um, yeah, it is important to go to doctors and get therapy. I always be feeling like it'd be important to vent and talk to friends, but I don't know. I mean, I'm learning kind of recently that might be wrong to talk to friends. I don't know. It's kind of confusing. Like the mental health be kind of confusing sometimes because I try to talk to my doctor sometimes, and it's like sometimes I'll be like, do anybody even know how to help or heal? You know what I'm saying? Kind of like it puts you in a dark place when you feel like you're not getting the support that you're looking for. And like some of these medicines though too, you gotta look out for that you take or you come up off of, or the doctor even when you off of, will have you doing like suicidal stuff. Like a lot of things people be thinking that like it's a mental thing. Hey, I'm gonna cut myself, or hey, I'm gonna run my car into this, or hey, I'm gonna shoot myself in the head, when they don't realize that you're literally being like swayed into a different state of mind. It's like you're not even aware that when you like, can you confirm that, Joe? That when that thing happens, when you're attempting to do that, 9 times out of 10, you're being swayed into a different state of mind. And like Kenny said, he banged his head against the wall. When I did that last month, I was like, that's not me. What is going on with me? But I had kind of been asking my doctor a few months ago to change or do something with my medication before all this had even got out of hand. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, listen, like I said before, I showed the video. You know, I didn't remember none of that.
Right.
I don't remember doing the stuff that I was told that I did.
Yeah. I remember the first.
That's why it's so important to talk with. Listen, not just talk with professionals, but you just said something, Brandy, about not knowing if you could talk with your friends. Listen, if it's a true friend, they're gonna listen.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to judge you, but not all of them are always going to tell you what you want to hear. And Brandy, me and you've had that discussion many times before. People are not always going to tell you what you want to hear, and sometimes it's just because you're not listening to what you're not hearing what you want to hear. So sometimes people have to go with stuff that you don't want to hear to kind of make that aha moment in your head, kind of snap you out of it to say, oh, fuck, this is what I needed to hear, just not what I wanted to hear.
But sometimes I feel like it's a thing where maybe I'm not explaining how bad something is getting to me, because like you say about nightmares, like with mental health too, it's a thing called like intrusive thoughts. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
How bad something can be affecting you, and you trying to get a better understanding of why this is going on or why this is happening. You know what I'm saying? Especially like if you
See,
feel
to
like
go
it's
along,
traumatic, if you feel like it's traumatic to you or it strikes you as traumatic, and you trying to understand the whys and how the hell did this come out like this, or why did this happen this way, or you start feeling like you're being attacked by everybody, especially when you know that you had good intentions and didn't intend for this to happen this way or intend for that to happen that way.
I
see, to
listen.
go along with that, um, I know how you feel because I have PTSD, and my my dad would be the first one to admit that there was many nights that I stayed at his house because of everything that went on. I stayed up numerous nights because when I was in lockup as a kid, I was about to turn 18, about to get out. It was probably about 2, 3 months before I was about to get out. Um, I had gotten a call and saying that my son had died. My ex girlfriend ended up getting jumped after school, and she ended up losing my son. So my son's tattooed on my chest, closest to my heart. This kid was listening to my conversation in the background, and I didn't even get off the phone when he started talking shit about it. I stay up numerous nights because I relive that, and I relive me smashing his head against the phone. I got put into maximum security and got told that I was to stay there until I got out because if I would have hit his head one more time, I would have killed him. I didn't know anything was going on at that point in time because I had blacked out about my son dying and this kid talking crap about my son. And there was just a recent one that had went on that this guy had hit the door that my daughter on the side that my daughter was on. I blacked out, went into a PTSD moment, and I snapped. And it took my fiance put my daughter in front of my face to me to realize that my daughter was right there. So not to swing and not to kill him.
Yeah, different people affect things on different levels. Is what people gotta understand. Like when you talk to somebody and somebody might say, "Let it go." Different things affect people on different levels. Like with my twin sister, I'm sitting there looking at this is my twin saying these things, and everybody's sitting there like, "Let it go." But it's like I'm looking at it like, how would you react if that was your twin making a serious accusation like that on the internet about you? You know what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah.
like I be sitting there looking at hypocrisy. You know what I'm saying? Like the self same people be telling you like to let certain stuff go. You know, you see them agging stuff on about petty stuff. There's less stuff that you feel like
Hey,
is
Randy,
illegal.
for a
You know,
minute. Hey, Joe, I gotta go, man.
All right, man. Thanks
I
for
gotta
coming on, Roberto.
No problem, man. Brandy, Kenny, it's good to see you guys. Brandy, I'll text you later, all right?
all right.
And
I'm saying, you know, in general.
I'm going to say something, Randy. And listen, I tell my son the same thing. The biggest thing that anybody has to deal with or try to overcome is words. And, I'll tell him the same thing all the time, and he can vouch for it. Words can't hurt you if you don't let them.
It's deeper than words to me. It's like other people's reactions or responses to other people's words is like maybe like a battle, so to say, because it's like the other people won. It's just like, okay, these people ain't talking to me no more, or because of what this person said, and it's not even true, or something like that. Like, say with my, with my twin sister. You know what I'm saying? Like, people
Yeah,
stop
and
talking. And I'm like,
the reason
make it make
the reason
sense.
I say that, and I, he's used it against me several times, is especially online. You can't let people really get to you because they're just trying to. That's where I say words can't hurt you, but it does. I mean, but before we go on, I want to take just a second because there's somebody else that wants to come on.
Okay.
And look, she means the world to me, and she knows. So,
Hey, Kelly.
Hey guys,
How you doing, Kelly?
doing good. How you guys doing?
All right.
All right.
Been a long
So-
time. How y'all doing?
Oh man.
Been a long time.
Yes.
I don't know. I felt like I needed to come on, and this year has been shit. Let me give you a rundown of my year. So the year started out all right. And then we had COVID and all that shit popped off with COVID. World got crazy. I'd say probably, I think it was around March. My cat of 15 years passed away, which that really was kind of like the, I don't have family. I didn't have a lot of family. My cat passed away. That was kind of like the start of it all. Then, the COVID thing got worse. The riots started happening. That was feeding into it. Then I got attacked in the store for being part of the problem because of who I am. And that got handled by the person getting kicked out of the store and told to never come back. The cops would be called on them. And then my dad passed away about a month later. My dad, I didn't know him, which is fine, whatever. He wasn't in my life, but I never got the closure that I was looking for from my dad. Fast forward a little bit, about another half month, about 25 days later, I find out the company I worked for at my second job, they're ending their contract, so I was losing my second job. Fast forward a little bit more, my mom was going through some health problems again. And it was like every day, I was like, what the fuck is next? What the fuck is next? Fast forward another month, I found out I'm not getting an extension at my main job. The first time in 11 years, almost 12 years, that I have officially been without a job. And the only reason I'm sharing this story the way I'm sharing it is because I was on the verge of giving the fuck up. Totally giving up this year. I distanced myself from everybody in the community. I stepped away from Josh and started hanging out with Willow and everybody. I was kind of distanced myself from Willow and everybody. And add in on that shit, had some problems with the e-juice because they were coming from the UK. They got snagged by UPS. That happened also. In between all that job stuff, So the UPS said, oh, the labeling's wrong. I didn't get my juice. So, it was everything all at once. And let me tell you guys something. The universe has a way of working its miracles. I never thought in a million years what's happened to me now in the last 4 weeks now, would have happened. I complained and I bitched so long about being lonely and not having anybody in my life, and I've met somebody finally. I met her on the day that I found out I wasn't getting an extension at my main job. The universe don't do that. The universe doesn't do that shit on purpose. Oh, yeah, it does. So, changed my life. Saved me. And I saved her. We saved each other. There's been a lot of times in my life where I wanted to give up. There's been a lot of times in my life where I'm like, fuck it. What's the point? And then, when I finally got my head on my ass and started looking around at the people around me, my cousins, my mom, and now my family that I have, you guys got to just have faith. You got to have faith to know that it will get better. There are people that care. Don't give up. Because if I would have gave up that night, and I would have checked my phone, that could have been the end for me. And I'm happy I looked down at my phone that night. Because I was like, fuck it, I'm losing my job. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is the first time I'm not going to have stability. And I said, you know what? Let me take this chance. I can get unemployment. Start looking at the positives. Start looking at the future instead of looking at the negative parts of everything that was going on. I've got a bunch of shit I can sell. Got a bunch of vape shit I can't use. You can only use one mod at a time. I got a bunch of computer parts I can sell. I can do eBay again.
No, you're used to it, though.
Yeah, it's just, I think the problem is, once we get ourselves in that state of mind, we all focus on one thing. We focus on the negatives. And everything small can be so big. And I think that that's the biggest issue with a lot of us as human beings. We focus on the smallest things when we're in that state of mind. And it seems like the end of the world. And it's not. Sorry, Joe.
I do got to say, Kelly, that I'm glad that, them times that you go with that feeling that you should look at your phone.
Yeah.
I'm glad for that, hon. I really am.
I know, Joe.
I put out the video tonight that I made the last time you looked at your phone.
I know.
And look, a lot of things has happened since then. Me and you quit talking.
Yeah.
We, just was apart. And I always told you, Kelly, you're always going to be part of the family.
Yeah.
Any talks on that subject.
Yeah.
And honestly, the day that you messaged me and said, hey, tired of all this shit. We need to put all this shit behind us. I had a big smile because, look, I don't care who says what. I owe a lot to you and Josh. Both. And that will never go away. So to see a smile on your face like you have over the last month has made me happy as hell, Kelly. I've been so fucking proud of it. And I know everybody else has.
Yeah.
So you're right. You can't just, you got to keep pushing forward. You got to keep looking for the future.
You do.
Because if you don't, then you could be a story, either a happy one or you could just be another face on a page for suicide. And I would really love to see that Facebook page go to nothing. Because look, people, there is, in case you don't know, there is a Facebook page that is nothing but putting faces to suicide.
Yeah.
It is testimonies and pictures of people that have committed suicide. The dates that they did it, they're put up by their families. It is a very public page. And it is one that I hope I don't ever see somebody I know on.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And-
never. Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, go.
I started tonight. It was funny. Michael Murray messaged me. He said, Joe's doing this stream. I think you need to be on there. The community needs to see you. You know how crazy the fucking universe is? 30 seconds before Michael messaged me, I was talking to her and about how unhappy I was before we met. And we were scrolling through Instagram. And I was just reading the quotes and the pictures I was posting, looking for my serenity, empty, trying to fix my emptiness. I was already on a downward spiral before I knew I wasn't getting a contract extension. If I wouldn't have picked up my phone and took a leap, I was in that state of mind. You know? So, while people say it's corny, that it's not possible, I believe there's somebody out there for everyone. I believe that things happen for a reason. And I believe the universe and God make those things possible. Whether you believe in God or not. Believe in the universe. That's why we're here, right?
Yep. It's no secret that I believe in God. I've said that many, many times.
Yep.
But along with believing and having the faith, look, it's on each and every one of us. And I'm not talking just us here on the panel or in the chat. This is something that needs to go on clear throughout the world, that you need to speak up.
Yeah.
Whether it's for yourself,
Yeah.
or for somebody that you know you care about.
Yeah.
If something's not right, you need to speak up and you need to tell that person. And if you can't tell that person, then you need to do what Kelly did or what Josh did for me, which is get somebody there to help them.
Yeah.
That's why I always say that, I'm just a message away. If anybody ever needs to talk, I will sit down and talk with you. No fucking problems. No sweat.
Yep.
Whether I know you personally, whether I know you through Facebook, through debate community, we got to be there for each other. And if we're not there for each other, then you're not there for yourself.
Yeah. And I think, Carol, look how much I would have thrown away if I would have gave up. I would have thrown away a wonderful woman that's in my life, a beautiful kid that's in my life now. I would have thrown away everything that I ever wanted out of my life if I would have gave up. Everything.
I'll tell you what keep me holding on. The faith that one day I'll reunite with my children again. That's like one of the only things that keep me holding on.
That's worth it. They're worth it, Brandy.
You always look.
You're worth it.
Nikki B says it right. Always a light at the end of the tunnel. Just everyone's tunnel is longer or shorter. Just stay strong and love yourself.
Yep.
You got to keep reaching for the end of that tunnel. You got to keep trudging forward for it.
Yeah.
And if you fall, get back up. And if you can't get back up, have somebody there that can help you.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with people that care for you like you care for them. And look, whether and I've told Kelly this before because we've had talks about that. Cherish the moments that you have. If your mom, dad, brother, sister are still around, cherish the fucking moments as long as you can.
Everything's small.
Because look, your world gets smaller when they're not there.
Yeah.
When I lost my mom, I not only lost my mom, I lost my best friend. I lost, my son lost somebody that he cared about. And, that he looked up to and, was always there for them.
I want to do something, guys. I'd like to introduce you guys to somebody special in my life. You okay with that, Joe?
I don't give a crap. You know that, Kelly? What makes you happy is what makes everybody.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
See, Dad, it's hard for me to talk about the stuff because I don't feel like people get it. But I know that there's people out there that are going through the same thing that I'm going through to a certain point. But it still don't help the fact that I don't know how to explain how I'm feeling.
I'm going to tell you, I've told you this before, and Brandy, this goes for you because I know you deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
Look on YouTube. There are groups out there for PTSD. But before we get to that, I want everybody to look. Matter of fact,
hey guys, this is the love of my life.
Hey.
This is Andrea. I fully believe she saved me.
You saved yourself.
We saved each other.
look, anybody that can put a smile on her face, you've done a lot, man. You really have. And it's nice to finally meet you.
It's nice to meet you too.
Come back, Joe. We're missing everyone.
There you go. Can I see anyone?
The cat was like, "What about me?"
Look at me.
Wait, oh.
Now, I've seen pictures of you, hon, but I'm glad I probably because I had not seen a smile on Kelly's face that big. And God, Kelly, what, 3 years?
Never since you know me.
Since I've known you.
I can rile her up too, though.
Oh, riling her up's not that hard.
Not that hard.
I can get her mad. I can get her mad real easy. It's not all that hard.
Yeah. Well, fuck you too, Joe.
My dad will be the first one to admit my fiance is one of the reasons or one of the people that have saved me through a couple of my overdoses and a couple of my suicide attempts. I will love her until the day I die, till the day I take my last breath.
Yeah, I
She
remember.
is
Mhm.
Look, no matter what anybody's going through, Kelly's right. There is somebody out there for everybody.
Mhm.
Somebody that's going to make you happy. And look, nothing's ever going to be easy about any relationship. Nothing.
No.
There's going to be fights. There's going to be arguments. But if it's that true person, they're going to put a smile on your face and they're going to fight right next to you.
Yeah.
And, like I've said, my son and my wife have not gotten along. And the
But I
biggest
still love my
shocker to my
stepmom.
son was when he needed a place to stay, my wife said yes. He really didn't think that she was going to do that.
No, I didn't. Me and my stepmom have a love-hate relationship. My stepmom has done a lot of things for me not to have sort of a great relationship with her. But through everything, she did give me a place to stay when I was going through not being able to see my daughter. And when I got the phone call stating that I could go and go and sign some papers so I can get my restraining order dropped and my charges dropped, she was happy for me. I put one of the biggest smiles on her face that I've ever seen, other than the day that she married my dad. Now, there's been some reasons why me and my stepmom don't get along, and for that I don't want to say because I don't know if my fiance wants me to tell it. But she has been changing since my dad did his overdose and wrote her a letter and stuff. So I feel like I need to try and help my dad and try and get a better relationship with my stepmom. Now, my dad don't necessarily have the greatest relationship with my mom, but my mom has been there to help me through trying to deal with my PTSD and my depression naturally instead of having to take meds. Because as a kid, I was on 2 handfuls of meds, and it made me look like a couch potato, a zombie. I wouldn't eat, I wouldn't move, I wouldn't go outside and play. So I was pale white. I was probably as white as Kelly over there, but probably as white as Kelly's cat. But
Look,
hey, we're not going to go there.
here's the deal, everyone.
Wait.
There are so many people that are here if people need. Philly Vapes put this in. That's his real name. That's him on Facebook. The reason I did this is with everything that's been going on this year, from COVID to the riots to God only knows what's going to come up for the rest of this year. And for everything that goes on in the vaping side of YouTube.
As is a vaping community, we should be sticking together. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we are not all going to get along. We are going to have our problems. We're going to have our fights.
Yeah.
look, there's some people that, you know, we will never ever deal with again.
Yeah.
But even at that, you've got to be that person that's willing to listen and talk to anybody who needs it.
Yeah. We're supposed to be one big family. We're supposed to be one big family because we all have this one passion called vaping. I was telling Roberto about that the other day. We supposed. I mean, realistically, it's not gonna happen. But I mean, realistically, too, it should happen. I mean, we all like. We should be sharing our stuff. We all have this one love right here. It's supposed to be keeping us together.
What other community could we have where race, gender differences, we all came together for one thing, right? We all came together for one common interest. You know, nothing mattered. You know, back in the days of Josh's stream before it got crazy. Sorry, Josh, don't hate me, but I'm going to say it. Before it got super crazy, you know, we all had a good time. It didn't matter who you were, what race you were, what gender you were, what anything, you know, anything. It was equality. We all came together for a purpose. And I don't know, maybe the world needs to take a play out of that book. And I think that could help.
Like I was real life, you know, like calling Joe Uncle Joe. I was like, he's real life my uncle. Jim Buki, he was real life my Australian uncle. Josh was like big uncle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look,
See, and
At the end of the day, we get one chance. You can choose to fill your life full of bullshit
Mm-hmm.
and live unhappy, or you can choose to live your life
Mm-hmm.
the best way you know how possible. Try to make the right decisions for you and live happy.
see, and
It's hard.
you know, I'm glad that there's people in the Zoom room and stuff that I can talk to.
And even through talking to people in Zoom, there shouldn't be nobody plotting on anybody and people sitting there like using people's freaking suicide attempt to sit there and throw it in their face. It's like when I heard that, I was like,
look, I got to give it. Benelli, I'm an equal opportunist troll. Please don't take it to heart. This is YouTube after all. And then to follow that up with from Wendy Blank, and I'm thankful for it, Benelli. If it was not for you all trolling, I'd be in back. I want to say bad shape, but she put back shape because you guys, I need the laughter so serious. Thank you. Look, there's been times that I've done live shows that I just needed you fucking trolls to do what you guys do. Benelli, you know, Brian Light, Bill Hubbard, Eric Sutherland.
Yeah.
Because I just needed that freaking laugh.
Yeah.
And you guys will never know how much that really means because I can always count on you fuckers to.
That's why I go in the war room. When Willow catches me up with everything that's going on, I just sit there and crack the fuck up because he throws his own stuff in it. Great. That's why. But yeah, I appreciate you letting me on, Joe.
No problem, hon.
It meant a lot for you to let me on. Happy you guys got to meet her.
Andrea.
Before you leave, Kelly, I want to say I do miss y'all though.
Yeah, I've not been around a lot, so but I got a family to focus on now, so you got a wonderful.
Don't tap that ass.
Don't worry, you don't worry about that.
She's shy. It's a Friday night. Don't act like I didn't know what you was up to.
But
Trust me, Andrew, you'll learn to love us.
I already do.
We're gonna make you fucking red, especially when you meet a lot of the other fuckers. But you'll learn to love us.
look at my face. I look like a fucking cherry right now.
Oh, that's hot.
Isn't that
too.
how you always look, though?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty
Now, a
much.
minute ago, you said she was white. Make up your mind.
He can't. He's my
Well,
son.
see,
There is
you're
no
whiter
white
than
hair.
she is. But, you know, when she first
Here we
comes into
go.
the Zoom room and, you know, she's pale white. And then everybody gets her to, you know, laughing and carrying on, then she's as red as a fucking cherry.
Yep.
See, you're staying pale white over there.
I got a lot
Not
of
even
makeup.
turn cherry red.
A lot of makeup.
But no, Kelly, I thank you for
You're welcome.
you know what you mean to me.
I know, Joe. That's why I came on. And the universe said, well, I just said that to her. And then Benelli messages me. I was like, shit like that don't just happen to happen. So,
What? I sent you a message earlier.
yeah, I
today.
know. I thought about it all night, because I was not sure if I was ready to come on a live stream after so long. And we talked about it, and she finally said, she put me in my place. So,
Well, I know Josh wanted to be on here, but he's driving, and
Yeah.
you know, I know he's watching and listening. I just felt that tonight was the time to post that video and
Yeah.
to do what I've said. You know, I hide no secrets. I keep no. You know, that's the one thing I've been hiding, and it was time that people see why I give you and Josh so much love and credit.
yeah.
That video broke my heart. Like,
But I
Oh,
think
don't worry.
Well, Joe, you know I'm only a message away. Anytime you need a friend, you know that.
I know.
You know where to find me.
Same with you.
Anybody, not just Joe.
Anybody.
I
Don't
wasn't
worry, y'all.
saying a whole lot, but I have a history of suicide attempts under my belt. I have borderline personality disorder myself. And so I heard you talking, Brandy. Can I call you Brandy or you prefer Brand? Doesn't matter.
don't matter.
Okay. And she was hesitant to come on because she hasn't been on in a long time. She's like, I don't look the same. I'm like, what's the matter what you look like? This is a serious issue. Like, people need to hear a success story. People need to hear hope. Like, what if you're the only person that gets on there and says, hey, there's hope, and one person heard it? They
Right.
need to hear that. Like, what you look like. Put your underwear over your head and get on there. I don't give a fuck.
Holy shit, I really like her now because I've said that same shit to you, Kelly. Damn.
She's prissy. She just wants. I guess I should have done her makeup earlier.
There is hope. I'm just finished my last dose of antibiotics for bronchitis and sinus infection. So that's why you hear me sniffling a lot. I just
You
got
can't be
this.
sniffling these days. People will be spraying you with Lysol and shit.
I know. I just got this Parallel XL, and this man's like, "You able to use it yet?" I'm like, "No, man. Wait till my lungs clear up, then I can use it." It's
See, I
pretty
think the hope that I have was hoping that I could see my daughter again. I think that's my hope, and one of the reasons I didn't pull the trigger when I did.
Yeah,
My
with
daughter-
me and you were gonna have a chat about that later.
Me and my daughter is my world. My daughter is one of the main people that keep me breathing every day.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for her, my dad would be burying his son at 21. And I have always, my dad has always told me he wants me to bury him before he buries his own kid. And
That's every parent's wish.
I told my dad, even if he gets into the hospital and is like my grandmother, I don't care if he's a vegetable or not, he's going to stay alive until so he can see his granddaughter grow up. It's his first grandchild that biological. I mean, blood doesn't matter, but he had made a promise to me when I was little. And while I was growing up, he has always made the promise that he will stay alive until my daughter is at least 18.
Oh, and I just
So-
realized something. Is this the first time you've met my son, Kelly?
Second,
Second time?
yeah, the first one was in Zoom
Yeah.
before she sent me the mods and stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, with everything that has went on, I feel like I have overcome a lot of stuff. I have jumped through the law's hoops so many times, and my dad can tell you or can vouch. He has told me that, you know, I jumped through them before. I can jump through it again and make it again.
And it's all
I
worth
can
it.
make it back up on top again.
I can give you hope in that matter too. My little boy that's in the next room, my ex-wife made a false CPS call on me, and he was taken from me for 2 weeks. He's autistic, nonverbal, had never been away from me a moment of his life. And they came and did an emergency removal based on her report and gave him to her. And I had to pay $7,500 to an attorney and fight the only fight I knew how to fight. And I've got him back. She'll never see him again over my dead body. And
I know how you feel because my mom gave up my brothers and my sister, and my second oldest brother is I think there's 10 levels of autistic, and he's the 10th level.
yeah,
He can't talk, he can't walk by himself, he can't go to the bathroom or anything by himself. I was in Chilton Square when they got taken from my mom, and she signed over rights to him. I blamed my grandma for the longest time because my grandma had the opportunity to take my brothers and my sister. They were younger than I was. At the time, I felt like I had already lived the life that I wanted to live, so I was just going to keep living my life the way I wanted to. And the road that I was going down, I wanted to keep going down that road. So I was mad at her because she chose me instead of them. But then as I got older, when I turned 18, she had finally told me why she took me instead of them. And she had told me that it was too much for them to handle because my grandpa is almost 80 and she's almost 60.
Yeah.
She said that it was going to take too much out of them to take them instead of me. And since I was already I was 9 when I went to my grandma's. Since I was already older than them, she wanted to take me, and then, you know, me and my grandpa don't have a strong relationship. Me and my grandpa have gotten into fist fights and, you know, other stuff, and it led into a sheriff showing up and me getting put in the back of a cop car because by the time the sheriff showed up, my hands were bloody and they thought that I had killed my grandpa. From that day forward, I've been trying to reconnect with my grandfather, but my grandfather is old-fashioned and holds grudges and, you know, stuff like that. So it's kind of hard to build up a relationship with him. So the only other mainly two people I have to turn to is my dad and my fiance. Even though that my fiance don't understand what I'm going through or understand the PTSD and the depression and the bipolar and stuff like that, she still tries to help. Because she's got a sister that's bipolar and has depression and stuff like that. So she kind of tries to help me, but helps her at the same time because she's been there for me for 6 years. I knew her brother before I knew her, kind of thing. Her brother is the reason me and her met. We've only been together for 3 years. But in a way, the reason I said she kind of saved me is because if she wouldn't have picked me up that night, I would have never lived.
Yeah.
I had taken a full pill bottle that they said that a second later I could have died. She ended up doing 120 down a highway to get me into the hospital. And she also had saved my uncle's life. So that was the breaking point of me realizing that, she saved me and she also saved my uncle that I love.
Yeah.
So that's, that is what made me feel like she's somebody to keep.
Oh, yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah, definitely.
You also kind of owe her to never put her through something like that again.
Yeah.
Like, you need to have a plan, somebody that you plan to call if you ever get that low, because things are going to happen. And if you're like me, like, I stub my toe, first thing that comes to mind, I'm going to kill myself. Like, it's just nature. It's in with my diagnosis of BPD, the smallest thing, that's just how I'm programmed. I know better. As soon as my toe stops hurting, I stop feeling that way. But I got to reach out in the meantime, or else, that could be real drastic. So
that's why I said the smallest things. Earlier I said the smallest things when you're in that state of mind, the smallest things can be that trigger.
So it's important to have somebody that, like, it's almost like having an AA sponsor or something. Like, have that one person, because you say you have two people, you really only need one. As long as you got one person. And if you don't, like, I see a 800 number scrolling here. If you don't have that one person, there's a stranger on the other line of that who's volunteering their time because this cause is dear to their heart, or they wouldn't be doing it. So,
but see, that for me, I can't talk to somebody that I don't know about it.
Right, I get that.
I mean, it's a stretch for me to come on here and talk about it because I've always told my dad that talking about it doesn't help me because I feel like it doesn't. But I just messaged my dad not too long ago, and it's me talking about it tonight has really helped me because I felt like my son's death was on me because I wasn't there to protect her to where my son would be born. But at the same time, my dad makes me realize that, even if I was there, I couldn't have prevented it.
No.
I couldn't have stopped it. If I would have tried to stop it, I would be in prison because my dad knows me. Once I start fighting, I don't stop until somebody's dead. And that's not, I keep telling everybody that comes up and tries to fight me, I don't like to fight anymore. I grew up fighting. I don't like to fight anymore. I don't understand my strength anymore for me to not be able to kill somebody. I don't even beat my own daughter's ass because I don't know my strength.
Use that strength for good. That's what, like, find something that's important to you, whether it be this cause or something that pulls at your heart. How old is your daughter?
She's 2.
She's 2?
She had just turned 2.
Or you're working towards that?
Huh?
Are you able to see her yet, or you're working towards that?
Yeah, I'm back at home. I'm able to see her and stuff, and she's, like I said, she's one of. I mean, I know she's 2 and she don't know what's going on, but when I'm down and I'm feeling depressed and stuff, I pick her up and I start crying a little bit because my daughter is basically calming me down in a sense. I was able to see my daughter on Father's Day, and she had handed me a plaque, and she had handed it to me, and it has my dead son's name on it and my daughter's name on it. And when she had handed it to me, I went upstairs, gave it to my mom, and my mom stood up and held me because I couldn't even stand. I started crying so much that I couldn't even stand. When she left and came back down to Iowa, it felt like a part of me was leaving with her. And it, not having my world with me, it hurt me a lot. But I still, after my whole gun incident, I went up there and I was trying to do my best to, get everything done and to be able to see my daughter again. And for my attorney to tell me that I wasn't going to be able to, sent me into a really bad part. And I yelled at my stepdad and I yelled at his friend, which was my supervisor. And it ended up in me getting fired, and ended up for me to moving back down here. I called my dad bawling because I told him I wanted to go home. And, when most people think for me going home is coming back down to Iowa, it was my dad knew it was coming back to my daughter and coming back to my fiance. I give her a lot of crap because she called the cops on me that night, and in a sense, I try to play around with it because, she kind of laughs about it. We laugh about it now. But I tell her every day that I'm thankful that, she saved my life, and I tell her throughout the day that I love her and that I'm thankful that she called the cops that night because I didn't know what I was going to do. She ended up hitting me in the back of my head, and I blacked out, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So to stop that, I came back, I punched the wall, and I walked out. I pushed her and walked out. In the process, I got my daughter, and that led me into another part of me wanting to pull the trigger when I held the gun to my head. While I was in jail, my uncle had died. Well, he's not really my uncle, but he's been a friend of my grandma's for 10 years. And I've known him for 10 years. And for me to get out and find out that he died, it sent me back into the drugs and back into the alcohol. I started talking to my fiance again, and she had showed me another way to deal with it. She had showed me that there's, her and my daughter are still going to stand behind me no matter what. Throughout this whole thing, my fiance stood by my side throughout all of this. She's stood by my side since I've known her. And I don't feel like I can ever repay that or thank her enough for that. And I feel like I owe her my life. You know, because in a sense I do. She had saved my life. So in a sense I owe her my life.
Yeah, Kenny, I feel what you're saying. I'll be honest with you guys. The path I was going down before I met her, I believe she saved my life.
The only way you can repay her is to do the right thing from here on out. Do the next right thing every time. Like when you feel your temper start to boil, walk away. Take that extra 10 seconds, count frontwards, backwards, sideways, whatever you got to do. Pull yourself off.
Yep.
Don't ever act out of anger. Don't ever do anything that will put your family life in jeopardy again. And that's the only way, you know, to show that you're grateful for what she did for you. Because I tell you what, it's not anything to take for granted. People are not a dime a dozen that will stand by you through something like that.
No,
Like,
and I mean,
I've had people walk out on me because I'm crazy as hell. Like, this one won't because she's crazier than I am. But I'm just saying, like,
you know,
don't ever take somebody for granted who's willing to accept you're crazy and keep going.
I don't like, you know, and I also don't like to ask for help. So for me to ask my dad for help and for me to ask my fiance for help, it really hurts me because I'm not the type to ask for help. I'm the type to do it all by myself. You know, and I'm kind of like my dad in a way, if that makes sense. You know, stubborn and bullheaded, and obviously I'm not bald and ugly like him, but
Hey, fuck off, you little prick.
Yet.
Look, everybody.
Yet.
It's my wonderful daughter, and she can't get the fuck up. I need cotton balls right now because
Oh,
her
God.
knees locked up and she can't stand up right now, so she's kind of screwed.
Can I get something off my chest?
Yeah, go ahead, Brandon.
All right, back in 2005, me and my husband and my daughter had evacuated from Hurricane Katrina, right? Just one day, he disappeared from work, found out he had been disappearing from work and got paid leave. He went on his job, told his boss, said our daughter was dead. So I kept trying to get in touch with him. I couldn't get in touch with him. He came home like any other day at the same time. And somebody told me I better go get my daughter from the daycare because he might do something crazy. So he came home like normal, and because I was, just trying to call him and ask him what he wanted for dinner, but he was gone, not answering the phone or nothing. So I suspected something and went on his job. They told me he said our daughter was there, right? So he come home. And when I got home, it was a notice on the door of a threat of eviction. I'm like, what the world? So I'm like telling him, like, hey, man, what the hell's going on, man? You going on the job telling people our daughter's dead, this and that is going on. He's like, what, you think I was cheating? You think I was cheating? Bow. So we in the tussle, mind you, belly out the here, right? Pregnant with my son Ivan. We tussling. So he starts beating me in the head with a wrench right up in here. Right? That's why you keep seeing me rubbing my head, because it still hurts. That was back in 2005. And so he bit me in my chest and he did a football tackle on my stomach. Said, I'm gonna kill you and your baby, bitch. Football tackle me in my stomach. Left me sitting there crying. I'm telling him to call the ambulance. He's sitting there reading the Bible, talking about, I can't hear you. So then he's like, what you gonna do? You gonna call the police? He's like, your children you gonna have to raise your children without their daddy. And so I, kind of, he knew how I felt about always wanting my children to not be like me. without their own mom and daddy. I wanted my children to have their mama and daddy because I grew up without my parents. And so it's like he's like wound up saying he was sorry or whatever. So my dumb ass forgave him, right? A few weeks later, I wake up. He done took the Hurricane Breeder money, took off with my car, strollers, paperwork, all that, car seats, all that gone. So then I dealt with him being gone for a few weeks, and he gets the phones cut off in the house, and the cable and something else got cut off. And so I went to go run up to him, got a trip down there to get my car back from him, and he's down there with another woman telling me he gonna raise my son with the other woman. And so I went and I said fuck off, and I went and brought my car back, right? So then he called me telling me he's sorry, he want to come home or whatever. And by that time it was Thanksgiving night. He talking about he can't take it. You know, he want to come home. He knew I had missed him or whatever. All I know is I wake up. I thought he had came home and was playing with me. I fell asleep, you know, because he said he was gonna catch the bus and come back to me. I fell asleep. I thought he was in the house, and I felt somebody tickling me and playing with my nose, and I'm like, "Quit playing, man! Quit playing!" And then I heard somebody say, "Shut up, bitch!" And I'm like, "What the fuck?" It's these two dudes in my house. I freak out. I punch one dude, and I take off running. Right. Then I realize I land on my face. I realize my feet are tied. So then they back to trying to smother my nose and stuff like that, and I'm fighting, you know what I'm saying? And they put the gun out, and I'm like, "You gonna kill me, bitch? Fuck y'all." You know, I'm spitting and everything. Then I realized, Brandy, this ain't the movies. This real life. You know what I'm saying? So many details happen in that night. I just recently remembered that they put the garbage bag over my head and I ripped it. You know what I'm saying? And they had tied me with wires, tied me to the TV, tied me to a lamp, and they had a knife dangling from the lamp. They said, "Now if you move," they still had the gun in my head. "If you move, that knife gonna fall and hit you in the jugular, in your throat." I mean, they said if you move this way, that TV is gonna fall and bust you in your head. So if I was you, I wouldn't move. It was hard to keep still with a gun in your head and all that stuff attached to wherever it's gonna fall on you if you move. And mind you, this is the month, a month after all that stuff with my husband did. So my belly out even further, right? They took my daughter somewhere in my car with in a garbage bag, but her back with a clean diaper on back was butt naked. So what they did was they sodomized me. They sodomized me, talking about, "Oh, this bitch might got something. We ain't gonna put it in that hole or whatever." They found some lube or whatever. That's why I don't even use lube no more. But they found some lube or whatever that me and my husband was using before he abandoned me and my daughter, and put that on a condom. And then they threw the condoms in the garbage. When they was done, they shot the gun in the air, put it back at me, was calling me a bitch, and was talking about they was gonna cut my baby out, and if it's a boy, they gonna cut his dick out and put it in his mouth and shoot him in the head, and was talking about they was gonna take a lit cigarette and stick it in my daughter's vagina and bang her up against the wall. The details was gruesome, okay? Probably worse than, you know what I'm saying? It was bad. And it plagues me to this day, you know what I'm saying? So I told people about it, like, they said I was the first person they ever let live. It's more details to what happened that night. They tortured me till daylight. Okay. And they said I was the first person they ever let live, but they said if I tell the police, they is gonna come back and kill me. So when they left, I scooted over, I cut my leg up a little because I had to use my mouth to use the knife to cut the wires off. my leg and my arms and stuff like that. I had to use my mouth to use the knife to do that. I told my brothers and sisters, guess what they did? They bust out laughing. Now remember I told you I was raped in the military.
Mhm.
They said, there she go with those rape stories again.
Mhm.
To this day, my mind can't process that. I was in the emergency room diarrheaing with blood. And they thought it was funny.
Yeah. Sorry, Brandy.
And along with that, like I get the pain for it because there was one day that my uncle that my fiance had saved, he took me in his car to go see how my the family friend uncle was doing. His biological nephew had came out and had pointed a gun at me. The only thing that I remember is me looking at him and telling him that if he's going to pull the trigger, he needs to pull it because I don't give a fuck about my life. Now, at this time, me and my fiance weren't talking, and I didn't have my daughter. This was 4 years ago. And then I also remember my uncle, he had got out of the car, and he had grabbed me and shoved me back to the car, and it started to beat the shit out of this guy because he pointed a gun at his nephew. We leave, and my uncle looks at me and tells me that I need to go get some help because I shouldn't be telling them that if they're going to pull the trigger, they might as well do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I get the pain, and
Yeah.
As big as suicide is to my dad, it's big with me because I don't wish upon anybody to commit suicide. I've tried to help so many people, but some of the people that I've tried to help, they don't want to take the help.
No.
I had a very close friend that had died because of suicide. That's why it's so big to me.
And okay,
and my dad, and
look, as much as we need people and need each other, there's so many people that reach out and don't get that help.
Yeah.
Even as of last night, a female that is in the vape community stated last night, and I hope that she knows that she's in my prayers along with a lot of other people. Jennifer Boyer last night on Tommy said that, do you believe it was her
nephew?
Nephew, I do believe it was, committed suicide.
No shit.
No matter who it is, no matter who you are, whether you're in this community or not, look, this shit needs to quit. The suicide, the shit with mental health needs to quit and needs to be forefront on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are scared. I think a lot of people have that mentality. They get to that point, and they can be surrounded. It's like this is something I've always said for myself. I said I could be in a room of 50 people and still feel like I'm the only person standing in that room. And I think when you get to that mind state, like she said, the smallest little thing.
And look, it's not just suicide comes in many forms.
It does.
I have somebody that lost a family member.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say who it is. They know who they are. If they want it out there, they'll tell. But, you know, using drugs and overdosing is another form that people do to escape reality and to escape the pain. There's been so many times that when I was using that you know, I would turn to the drugs to ease that pain away.
Yeah, I used to pop prescription pills. I mean, my psych meds. Like, say they was giving me paroxetine. What's that, Paxil? And
Well, hold on, Brandy. I want to finish this because look, I am going to be ending this here soon.
mhm.
I want everybody to understand that just because somebody is different, that doesn't make them bad. And if you take nothing else away from everything that we've talked about tonight and everything that you see going on, a lot of this shit can be stopped by seeing people for what they are, which is people,
Human beings.
human beings. Not seeing them because, and I know I'm going to probably piss somebody off or offend somebody, but look, this is the way it is. And this is how I feel. If you look at somebody and you see that they're black or they're transitional, let's put it that way,
I knew where you were going, Joe.
gay, lesbian, if you see anything other than a human being, then you need to really look at your life and look at who you are.
Yep.
Because, look, I don't care if you fucking are purple. You're still a human being.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
all
And
believe
you
in-
never know. You never know what that person's going through in their life, regardless of their living situation, their choices in their life, or the color of their skin. You have no fucking clue what another person's going through because you aren't that person.
Yes.
Mhm.
And, you know, it works the same way with mental health. You could look at somebody and say, oh, well, you know, that person don't have no problems. But in reality, that person is putting on a show,
Yep.
putting on a face, putting a smile on. When deep down, they feel like shit. They feel like there's no end and that they don't mean nothing to anybody.
Yeah.
There's been people in chat tonight that have talked about, you know, one of the worst things as a parent is to bury your child.
Yeah.
That's one thing I hope I never see.
Yeah.
At the same time, to bury anybody hurts.
I want to say something, Joe. To everybody who fought and pushed me so hard to stop to stop forcing people to understand me, I appreciate you guys very much. You know who had to accept it before anybody else would? Me. When I stopped trying to shove it down people's throats, make everybody understand, guess what happened? My life got better.
Dang.
Regardless of anything I went through, that wasn't for everybody else to figure out. That was for me to figure out. It was for me to deal with my own issues that I had going on, and any hate or adversity I dealt with because of those decisions. That's hard. I get that might seem a little off, but that's also something too. I think that I realized I was causing some of my own thoughts. Until I reached out and figured out that hey, it's a lot of it's in your mind. If you put out bullshit, you're going to get bullshit back, and it's rough. But when you need help, you got people that listen and care enough to tell you what the issue is and what they see, and you have multiple people telling you the same thing. Listen to those people, because those people are there to help. And that's something I didn't do for a very long time. I didn't want to take the advice when I was asking for it. And I learned the hard way.
And here's the thing. Look,
Dad, don't give me shit because I'm smoking a cigarette.
I'm not even worried about that, son. Look, the biggest thing is if you can't accept yourself for who you are, how is anybody else going to accept you?
Exactly.
I have said it several times tonight that sometimes you need that person that is just going to look at you and say, quit being stupid, fucker.
Yeah.
Quit doing this stupid shit, and you wouldn't be getting the results that you are.
Yeah.
Now, look, I mostly said it that, Josh is an asshole. But I don't know another person that is more true to themselves than Josh, Kelly, a lot of people in this chat.
Yeah.
And that's what makes each and every one of us who we are. But if you can't be there for somebody when they need to, or if you're going to judge somebody because of what they say or how they act, then that's when you need to look at yourself and deal with yourself.
Yep.
I may say and do a lot of things. We know this. I act like an asshole every day. It's not an
Unless it comes to his granddaughter.
I remember when Joe first said he was an asshole. I didn't believe it.
Oh no, he is.
But
There
look,
was a time that me and him stood out in his driveway and had a fist fight. So he is an asshole.
look, it's not about that. It's not about being an asshole. It's about the fact that you can look at them and think that the person is the biggest fucking asshole in the world, but then they do something that changes your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Being
That's
there
good
for
in everybody.
somebody, listening to somebody, or being that asshole that tells you you're fucking up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, if nothing else is taken away from tonight, with everything that we've talked about, everything that people have said, the chats, everything else, listen, you all matter to somebody. You all are a father, a brother, a sister, a son, a daughter, to somebody. Hold
I
them.
hear my voice.
It's my son in the background.
Sorry, I didn't realize that my mic wasn't on, or I wasn't muted.
Oh,
But listen, no matter what goes on, be there for somebody, because you never know. You might just change their fucking life.
Yeah.
So, as I end this tonight, people, remember, we don't all have to come together because something bad happens.
Yeah. We need to come together before it happens.
Yes.
And Kelly, I can't thank you and Josh enough, but thank you guys for speaking up and saying something about my dad. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have my dad here today. And my dad is somebody that is going to send me into a really bad place when he dies. So thank you guys.
You're welcome, Kenny. I'm happy I was there.
So, we're going to end this on an up note. We really are. Because look, whenever you have a down, you have an up. Now I want you to look at all the ups that have come through. All right, look, I'm going to start with my son first. He has battled through, jumped through hoops all his fucking life. He now has a fiance and a wonderful little girl that loves the fucking world out of him. He has his entire life ahead of him. Kelly has got the biggest smile on her face all the time, thanks to Andrea. And I want to think that Andrea's probably got the biggest smile on her face because of Kelly. Brandy, through all her ups and downs and everything that's happened to her, she's still here. She still matters to people. And look, Brandy, we ain't talked in a long while. But understand, I'm always around, okay?
Me too, Brandy.
You ever need to talk?
Brandy, I've known you for 4 years now. You know where I'm at.
thank y'all.
Back when I was breaking Hayes mods and shit. You know me.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants, they can add me on Facebook. Just look for a purple haired or a purple shirted person holding my daughter.
Listen, to answer the questions, no, guys, I am not going live after this.
I see the fucking trolling you.
I'm not. Look, and there's a reason for it. Honestly, I'm mentally fucking drained. And when I hit the end button on this, I am shutting my fucking computer down. I am putting a movie on. I'm taking my meds, and I'm going the fuck to bed.
After he
So y'all
calls his son.
motherfuckers are going to have to deal with the show tomorrow. Benelli.
After he calls his son, he has to put that in there too.
Remember, I love y'all. Y'all fucking matter to me.
Love you too.
And there's always
Love
somebody
you
to
too,
talk to.
bald-headed fuck.
Yeah, you bald fucker. Hey, how's that mac and cheese doing, Joe?
Hey, you know what, motherfuckers? Y'all kiss my ass because I was supposed to make mac and cheese for dinner tonight, and I didn't fucking do it. I just had some ham. So, I love y'all. Y'all fucking rock. Peace out. Later.